We finally have Dinia's kit released by Kuro, and you can tell why she is one of the units of the anniversary. Incredible animations and design, synergy with some of the better teams in the game, but with the Cyberpunk collab coming, the question that everybody has is Dinia worth the rest rights? Let's analyze her kit and respond to that question together. Let's go! Okay, so here we have Dinia's description. Sub DPS, support for Fusion Burst, and support for Tune Strain. This already tells us what her best teams are going to be, that is MF and Luke. But let's not get ahead of ourselves and go through her whole kit. Since we still do not have access to the gameplay numbers, this guide is gonna be focused more on her role, synergies, and account value rather than the exact calculations. Okay, her weapon. As always, I like to check first the weapon to get a sneak peek on her kit. So high crit rate, low attack. When the wielder inflicts Fusion Burst effect or Tune Strain shifting on a target, Resonance Liberation damage increased by 36%. While this effect is active, whenever any resonator in the team inflicts Fusion Burst or Tune Strain, attack is increased by 24% for 15 seconds. So basically her weapon confirms that her teams are going to be MF, Fusion Burst, and Luke, Tune Strain. This weapon looks, I would say, on the high end of the sub DPS character, but as always, it is more worth it to go for main DPS weapons. I'm expecting, based on the stat it gives, to be about a 10% improvement to the team, which is high, but good main DPS weapons increase at least 20% the damage of the team. So unless you're going to play her as a main DPS, I would recommend to skip it and use the standard mana weapon. Her kit, as always, there's a ton of text in here, so let me summarize for you how she works. Basically, she has two modes as what we're used to in La Roy. One for Fusion Burst teams and the other one for Tune Strain teams. Her rotation and gameplay do not change much depending on what you're using, she just gives different buffs. I mean, after reading this, her rotation looks quite simple. We still need to know exactly how much Forte each one of her skill recharges, but it should be something like this. So first, do the intro, enters the field and gains the Dark Cores for her Forte. The Dark Cores are a resource she's gonna use to do some of her skills. After that, you're gonna use the skill, which is gonna group the enemy and it's gonna start loading more of the Forte while applying Fusion Burst or Tune Break effects, depending on the mode that you have chosen. Okay, so third step, you use the Resonance Liberation, which is gonna switch forms from the cute pink hair girl to the dark Aleph-1 Resonator that we all love. So she's gonna change mode and she is gonna activate the first wave of the buffs that Dinia offers. That is 30% fusion damage bonus to the team or 45% Tune Break boost depending on the mode she's in. She's also gonna create a field that's gonna be dealing fusion DOT damage every few seconds. So that's where her main source of damage off field is gonna come from. Okay, so after that, you're gonna do some basic attacks to build the Forte to fill the bar. We still do not know how many of them, but that's what it looks like you're gonna have to do. And after filling the Forte bar, you're gonna do an enhanced skill, which looks like it's gonna be a big hit that will also have some crowd control. Lastly, you're gonna do the outro, which is gonna give a huge amplification buff to the incoming character. That is 60% Fusion Burst damage amplification or 40% damage amplification if the incoming character uses Tune Break, or 15% if it doesn't. So here you have the summary of her buffs for each one of the modes.
Wait! If you want more from Alawai who actually knows what he's doing, just follow. Otherwise, you may not find me again. Let's continue with the video.
Okay, let's get now into her build. And let's start with the weapons. I already mentioned this. Her weapon should be the best option, followed by String Masters, which is always a great weapon for rectifier DPSs. And if not, the standard banner weapon should work wonders. As for the Ecos, she has two Eco sets depending on the team you're playing her on. In the Fusion Burst teams, you're gonna use Chromatic Foam, which gives her damage and will buff MS fusion damage by 25%. As for the main Eco, you're gonna go for her signature one, the Plush, which will give the incoming character an extra 12% fusion damage bonus. In the Tune Break teams, however, she will play the new set, Real Ops Please Memories, which will buff the Tune Break by 20, and for the main Eco, you will use the Moth, that will buff the attack of the upcoming character by 12%. For the substats, as always, crit rate and crit damage are great, as well as liberation damage, since she scales of that stat. We still do not know how much recharge she will need, but seeing how all the sub DPSs work, like Cho Yuan, Lina, etc., I'm expecting her to use no less than 125. So don't disregard this substat because it will be super important since her ultimate is vital to her rotation. Let's get now into her teams. I mentioned this before, but currently she has two teams. The Fusion Burst team, which will be MF, Dinia, and Chisa, which look like a great combo if you want to play DOT Dinia. Chisa can probably be exchanged for Lupa without losing too much damage. However, you will miss on the healing completely. Probably Mornia is going to be a viable option too, but not even close to Chisa or Lupa. I cannot compare this team to other teams because currently the Fusion Burst team doesn't exist, but hopefully it is close in damage to the current team of MF, Lina, and Mornia. So you can release Lina for other teams since so many other characters want to use her too. Her other best team is gonna be the Tune Strain 1, Here, Luke gets finally its last teammate. Luke, Dinia and Mornia looks like a strong combination that will allow Luke to get closer to the rest of the DPS of Laharoy. Seeing her buffs, a 15% increase to the damage of this team could be viable if her personal damage is good enough. However, Mornia is really important in this team. I would not recommend any other combination than this one in Luke's teams. Lastly, if you want to play her as a main DPS, definitely the best option will be a Linai Mornia team due to Dinia scaling off liberation damage. We cannot know how strong this team will be without the numbers. I'm expecting it to be something similar to Yuno, but slightly worse due to part of her damage being fusion burst that doesn't scale off liberation damage. So now that we have gone through all of her kits, let's respond to the question that everybody's wondering. Should you pull for Dinia? Well, as always, if you love her, go for it. But if you're only looking for meta options, it is actually a difficult call. She is not a character for every account. So if you have a meth, but not Mornia or Linai, and you do have Chisa, go for it. It's going to be for sure a great team. If you're using Chisa on Hiyuki though, and you don't have Lupa, you're going to have a hard time deciding who to play Chisa with, so I would recommend you to not go for her. If you have Luke and Mornia, it is a total yes. However, I would recommend to pull for Mornia before Dinia, since it is the base of the Chew mechanic, and she has 2 uses in the metrics, so it's like getting 2 characters when pulling for 1. In any other situation, honestly, I cannot recommend to go for her. Even if Dinia ends up being really strong, she currently looks more like a specialized support rather than a universal unit like Shorekeeper, Mornia or Linai. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments what you think about Dinia and if you're going to pull for her. Her animations look absolutely beautiful, some of the better ones in the game, and I cannot wait to get her. If you ask me, I'm going to go for her S0R0, but yeah, let me know what you're gonna do. Thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.